guide at that PhD time. Now we'll move to the qualitative research. What exactly is qualitative research? If I think most of us already know what is qualitative research. So basically, if you see, the qualitative research starts with the natural setting. So it happens in the natural setting, that is a natural environment, where people are trying to make sense or interpret the phenomena, the events, the experiences, what they see among the people. For example, let's take an example, a natural setting of a classroom. If I'll take an example of a classroom, that is a natural setting. I'm not disturbing them. I'm not conducting a survey. I'm not going for the experimenting design, having a control group, uncontrol group. I'm just collecting information. I'm just observing people in the natural setting, how students are behaving, how teachers are handling these students, what kind of interaction is happening, what characteristics are dominating this interaction. Is it the teachers interaction which is motivating students, or is it the students engagement which is motivating teachers to go in depth into the topic or the subjects. So in this way we can see that qualitative research is in a way you'll say it's a more natural way of studying a phenomena, studying an event, or studying a kind of experience. Experience, if you say like the consumer experience towards a particular object or things, maybe any particular product. We say that customer loyalty, we say that customer satisfaction, but these are very subjective things, right? So what is loyalty towards a particular thing? Let's take an iPhone. If the people are very much loyal towards the iPhone, they don't want to get into any phone. So it's not only the features of the phone, some kinds of attachment also, some kinds of ease of use also, some kinds of like a kind of a status icon, a kind of a lot many things, a security, as well as the features, as well as the look, a lot many things are there. So from where you got to know that these are the factors which is the reason why people are loyal to this particular product. If we'll go with the qualitative exploration, then only you can get to know, yes, people are loyal because of these things. So a qualitative exploration is required at the initial stage to understand a phenomena, event, or an incident. After that, yes, of course, we progress further and then we want to quantify it. Okay, how many people? Okay, what is the percentage of it? What is the frequency of this particular thing? Like, for example, ease of use, I'm saying, or the security feature I'm saying is an important of the phone. Then what is the weight of this particular feature? How many of them are saying that it is because of the security features I'm liking this phone? Or is it because of the ease of use I'm liking this phone? So like we then quantify our findings. So but the first level of exploration, if you see, that happens with the qualitative research, and we don't disturb our respondents or the participants. We don't force them into some kinds of scales like strongly agree to strongly disagree kind of responses. We are just leaving them free, we are just keeping them free, and we are asking their viewpoints. So now you will think that, okay, what about like viewpoints will vary. If I've like interacted with around 10 consumers, of course, I'll have a 10 different viewpoints. So how to like summarize them, how to club them into a meaningful whole. That's where comes the like beauty of the qualitative inquiry. If you see in the research field or in the academic world, if you see, like qualitative research is not that much maybe sought after method in Indian context. This is probably because we understand numbers better, we understand percentage better, we understand what is like, for example, on a pie chart, what is this half belongs to which section, what is the total population, and is this particular response is a close representative of that population or not. So we stand in these terms of numbers. But if you see in the psychology, or if I'll go into the clinical psychology particularly, so like more in-depth responses and experience, how a patient is feeling. For example, if some person has gone for the chemotherapy treatment because of the cancer and all. So you cannot just ask them a question, are you feeling happy or sad? Or are you like very much stressed or tensed? So what was, so you need to have open-ended questions in this particular situation. Some studies cannot be like simply quantified. First, you need to explore, and then you move to the quantification of that particular study. So that one beauty thing of the that qualitative research is study things in the natural setting, And what you do, you try to make sense, interpret the phenomena, and, and give meaning to what people are adding. It's not the researcher's meaning, it's what the people are saying about those particular things. What are different types of things we generally analyze in a qualitative study? You can see the third point over here. We generally look into the case studies, like cases, different cases which is happening. Cases can be that I said, cancer cases or like COVID patient cases. We have a different types of cases. Cases can be of like phenomena, or can be event, can be of a person. So we study cases, we study personal experiences, we study the life stories, biographies, and thing. We go for the observations, we go for the historical interactions, some like records and the archives and all. We also some uses visual text, like even by seeing the text of a particular phenomenon, like maybe you'll see the media and all, they cover a lot many things about a particular phenomenon. Certainly, like and there was a volcano eruption was there, or this pandemic. If you see, we have a text pictures of across the world. So by seeing these pictures, you can again transcribe them. You can give meaning to these words, and you can come to a conclusion that this is what is happening by describing this particular phenomena. So that is all those things we capture. We capture almost everything which happens in a natural setting. Now, this particular slide, I excuse myself for being not very perfect into designing this or maybe drawing this. But basically, the essence which I want you to explain, the difference between qualitative and the quantitative. I'm not saying that quantitative is not a very good research methodology. It's only the qualitative is important. But yes, we need to understand when to use what, and what our research question is, what our research objective is, the purpose is. If you see in the x-axis, we have the sample sizes, and on the y-axis is the depth of the responses, right? If I'll take an example of the consumers' loyalty towards iPhone, that is a one setting, and then we have the treatment, maybe patient experiences in terms of the like dialysis treatment they are going for this. Let's take this example, this two example. Now, this is a two thing which I want to explore. Now, if I'll go with a quantitative study, what I'll do? I'll try to come up with some kinds of research statements or some kinds of items which will be anchored on a different types of scale, maybe on a Likert or maybe dichotomous, or it can be like conforming, disconfirming. We can have a scales over here, and then we'll try to connect as many consumers as possible and try to validate that okay, you are loyal because of this reason. Please stick rank them in order of 1 to 100, 1 to 10, or maybe please say how strongly you agree that because of the security reasons you are loyal to a iPhone. So we try to quantify with a larger sample. So you'll see on the x-axis, we'll not only restrict ourselves to 10 respondents, we'll try to collect as many respondents as possible, because as per this central limit theorem, if you know that the greater the sample size, the more closer will be the representation towards the population, and the chances of generalizability becomes easier with the larger sample size. But in the quantitative research, what you do, you don't focus into a validation of few things. You don't have some pre-notions written in terms of items and you're validating it. Rather, you want to go in depth and try to understand the concept of this loyalty, the concept of this patient experience from their words. They may be, you just don't force them, okay, out of these four things, choose one. You just say, tell me why you are like loyal. Tell me what you like in this phone so much that you don't want to go and explore, though there is other options available in the market. Same goes with the patients also. Why you are so much what kind of a problems you have occurred. I am not giving them some kinds of choices which the patient is going through it, because patient is of course a patient, right? You cannot treat them as a normal respondents. So you have to get into some kinds of exploration where you are understanding, where you are nodding head when sharing some kinds of experience, you are relating to it, you are showing that yes, you are understanding, you are feeling the same things what they are trying to explain you. With this nod, with this yes, I understand the pain, I yeah, I can relate to it. the respondents' openness up. Once they feel that the connection is built with the researcher, they just gets opened up and they try to be explain their feelings, and their responses becomes more enriched, which is not possible with the quantitative method. So yes, with the kind of a research you want to have, you can ensure more depth into the qualitative research compared to the more generalizability into the quantitative research. Now the question will arise in your mind. So that means that the results or the findings of the qualitative research is not generalizable, right? But of course, there are different methods again, which we'll cover into the third session, that how to make the responses generalizable in qualitative inquiry as well. And now in this particular slide, we are describing the characteristics of the qualitative research. We have the response from the three authors over here. You can see what are the characteristics, like how you know this is the qualitative research, and what are the features of a qualitative research in a nutshell, if you see. The first and foremost thing which I have already discussed, that the qualitative research is generally happens in a natural setting. It's like a source of data is basically in the close interaction. It's not like a survey, it's not like experiment, it's not like a grouping them into some group and then studying them, and then again grouping the another person according to the homogeneity and all, and studying them. It's in the natural flow, in the natural, you're not disturbing their life. Then the second one, researcher is a key instrument of data collection over here. Researcher is the one who is dominating the qualitative research, because they are the one who know whether the respondents is like having the rich information or not. So they are the deciding factors. And of course, we have certain criteria to select samples and responses in qualitative study also. But in the qualitative research, it's a more of an iteration that happens. Like once I have interacted around three people, and after the interaction with these three people, like I got to know, okay, there are something more I need to collect. I need to interact with some more people, some other people which I have not written down in my maybe research design. So I will go and I will add them as well. So that's what iteration is happening. That's what further with the probing you get to know, okay, something else I need to study as well. Some archival data I need to retrieve to understand this phenomena. So that's why the researcher is a key instrument for data collection over here. Then we have a multiple data sources in words or the images. It's not only the interview data, it's not only the interaction, even the body language, even the kind of a pauses they're taking, the kind of emotions, the words, pitch, high and low it's falling. You try to document each aspects of your respondents over here. That is the one thing. You also have archival data, I already said. Then you also have some kinds of previous researches, you can also refer to them. Some kinds of like blogs, some kinds of like a chat, some like in some groups, some community, some chat has happened. Maybe like for this treatment, I said the cancer treatment, if I want to study this. So maybe there are different interest groups which are there. I can study that also, their interaction, their discussion. So we have a data flowing from the multiple sources in qualitative research. So how these all data needs to be combined and needs to be collated to have a final theme scores and all. So of course, how you will do it, it's not like at the any initial stage only you combine everything. You analyze each data source separately and then come to do some factors. For example, interview data source I have taken as the first instance. I have analyzed everything. I have come with some codes and get themes into particularly that interview. Then I'm going to the second data source and I'm trying to see whether the same theme is coming over here, whether the same codes is coming over here, or something else is emerging, some other new themes is emerging or new factors is emerging. So I try to, with the method of comparison and dissimilarity and similarity, you get into the analysis of all the data sources. So this is one way, that the first data source you have some codes and then you go for the similarity and dissimilarity. But again, the chances are that you don't want to compare. So you analyze each data source data in separately, and then the final themes where you try to make a meaning out of this whole. That okay, is there any relation between the themes identified with the interview, the themes identified with the previous records? Let's take an example of the exit interviews which happen in an organization. When employees leave the organization, HR goes for the exit interviews. They collect data, not only with the some kinds of feedback forms, but also some kinds of interaction do happens. So we have two sources over here. One is the form as well as the interaction which happens. So I have analyzed both differently and then tried to see that whether there is some common themes or there are some different themes. If themes are different, what kind of meaning this is making, what kind of meaning this is making. So if you see in a quantitative study, the kind of a study one with a one sample group, the study two with a different sample group, and the kind of a similarity to similarity you do, same thing happens in the qualitative also with types of multiple data sources when you are having, right? Then the next is the analysis of data is inductively, recursively, and interactively. Now, you know that in qualitative research, either we go with the inductive approach or the deductive approach. Now, what is an inductive approach? What is a deductive approach? Inductive approach is that you are not preconceived with some previous theories, which with some previous factors or the variables in your mind. For example, if I'm studying the role of a citizenship behavior in a workplace or kind of the role of a trust among the customers and the retailers, for example, this. So there are different models, different theories which is available. So I'm not getting biased with any of these theories. I'm going with an open mind and I'm exploring what exactly this is. So I'm defining it in from that particular context, from the responses. I'm just explaining from the response which I have collected, and then I'm trying to see that whether the new responses which I have collected is as similar to some theories which has been given by the previous scholars or researchers, or it is dissimilar. So there comes the discussion mode. In the discussion, only I'm bringing in the theory. But while collecting data, while analyzing responses, I'm not getting preconceived or biased with the previous theories or the variables. That is the inductive approach. Now, what is the deductive approach? You already have certain theories in your mind. For like citizenship behavior, we have certain models which has been given, certain factors which has been given by the previous scholars. So I have those theories, those models in my mind, and while asking question, while probing, while collecting data, I try to categorize the responses under those heads. For example, I have a broader heads already there available with me, and based on the respondent one, what they're saying, I'm putting, okay, it will go into the first box, second box, or the third box. So I have certain categorization already done, and with that mindset, when I go into the field and I interact people based on that, that is what is the deductive approach. You are deducting from the theory to the abstract level that what it is happening. Interactively is like, of course, the it's more of interactive in nature. The more you interact, the more longer your interview sessions is, the more chances is there you'll be able to capture more in-depth responses, more rich information will be collected. The shorter the duration of the interview, the shorter will be the interaction, and that will lead to maybe the participants has not become so comfortable while answering. So you need to first make them comfortable. You need to first starts with the teaser questions, and then you need to get into probing with the different methods. We'll get into the data collection methods like Dr. Namrata. She will explain how to do that probing part and all. So that is what is the interaction. You interact with the participants and you try to collect as many information as possible. Yes, during this interaction, the question arises, what about the ethical concerns? What about some of the information which is very sensitive? Is it good to record it? It is good to report it, or what? And that again you need to take care that. That again depends on the researcher as well as some of the ethical rules and the some kind of ethical suggestions which is given by the IP and all. You need to get into that particular part. Recursively is what I told you, like you go back again. So there is no one flow of the steps in the qualitative method. For example, like if you see in the quantitative method, what we do, we first come up with a research frame, right? Where we know this will be the respondents, this is the percentage, this will be the age group, this is the male-female ratio, and if I go for the quota sampling, if I go to the systematic or the other sampling, I have certain rules, certain framework. I'll follow that, and then I collect data, then analyze, and then discuss. But in a qualitative studies, you are not having this one flow. You can come back to the previous step again. You can go to the first step also, and again think that, okay, whatever I have said, that I'll be interacting only with these participants only. Maybe the chances are there I need to interact with their colleagues also, with their peers also. For example, if I'm trying to understand the engagement concept in the online context, like how employees are engaged in the online context. So if we'll try to go at maybe initially I started that I will interact only with the people who are like working from home remotely, and then they are reporting to the bosses in a remote way. So like this is the criteria I have defined, and I am collecting data responses from them. I have contacted them, I have fixed up the interviews, and then I'm interacting. While interacting, I got to know I need to have an interaction with their supervisors as well, or maybe with their colleagues as well. I cannot just restrict my interactions over here. So if you see in a criminal investigation in like CID programs and all, if you see what they don't restrict to just one person. After interacting with that particular suspect, they got to know, okay, I need to get into more detail, I need to talk to that person also, I need to talk to this person also. So that is what is recursively happens in the qualitative research. You don't have a fixed design, you don't have a fixed step, but yes, there is a framework. You cannot deviate from that. Of course, that's where research question, research goal is there. Then you have the sampling frame. Then you have the like objectives defined, and then the method of data collection, and then the analysis part. So this is a tentative fixed design is there, but you have the flexibility of going back and adding more people, more data collection methods. You can add different methods, you can add respondents, you can go for the different kinds of analysis. There are many studies where it's not like only thematic has been done, both grounded, thematic, and the like phenomenological has been done. So you can go into that particular way in the qualitative method. Next important characteristic is that focus on participants' perspective, their meaning, and their subjective views. So that's what like how to bring objectivity into qualitative studies. That is like a debatable question. So how you can do that? You like if you see the qualitative studies, the focus or the purpose is to collect experience, collect the responses and viewpoints of the participants. It should not be biased by the researcher. Since I am doing the research, the chances are there that I already know what kind of responses will come, but I'll not put my views into this particular interpretation. I'll try to be as objective as possible, and I'll try to make meaning of what participants are saying, what they are saying, their subjective views I'm collecting, and while reporting also, if you see, as for example, participant one has said this, and then you put their responses in quotes. So it's what the focus is on participants' responses, their views, and their perspective. Next characteristic is the framing of human behavior and belief within a social, political, historical context or through a cultural lens. So other factors also which will impact the behavior of the participants, that also you need to take care of. They may be the family, it's a nuclear family, it's a joint family, or the consumer, is it their income group, or their like the context where they are like functioning. All those things will impact the kind of a socio-political culture there. What is the historical roots is there. So the cultural lens also needs to be looked upon when you are analyzing data, not while you are like collecting data. Yes, of course, you can probe in keeping these factors in your mind, so that you know that while analyzing, you need to discuss these factors as well. That is also important. Emergent rather than tightly prefigured design. That's what I said. You don't have a prefigured factors, variables, and then on which you are getting a validation. It's rather new factors, new variables, and new codes or themes are emerging from the responses. Fundamentally, interpretive inquiry, researcher reflect on her or his role, the role of the reader, the role of the participants in shaping the study. So what is this interpretive inquiry? It's like when I'll explain the different types of paradigms, we'll understand what is this interpretive inquiry. It's basically from the word, just we need to understand that we try to interpret what is happening. So there are two parallel interpretation happens together. One is the the participants, what they are saying. You need to make meaning for what they are saying and why they are saying, and then you need to add your interpretation also, that what you are understanding. So your personal characteristics will influence that interpretation, as well as the demographic variable or the personal characteristics of the participants will influence that interpretation. So we say that in qualitative study, there are two level of analysis happen simultaneously. That is called emic perspective and the etic perspective. We have the two level of perspectives which is running parallel together. It's not only the participants what they are saying, but also the researcher what they are making meaning to that particular thing, that is also recorded. So you need, while writing fill notes, while writing transcription, or while writing some kinds of keywords, phrases which you can maybe later on you can put it into a better detailed part. You need to write each aspect over here. So try to put your views as a researcher, maybe at a corner at the end, like a corner of that particular page, so that it should not get like merged with the participants' view. That is what is more important. That is more ethic perspective is more important. MAC is what you are giving view to that what particular thing is happening. Holistic view of a social phenomena, that is what is the like beauty of this qualitative research, that you are not just focusing on a one angle, you are not narrowing to only one thing and studying that, rather you are understanding the whole phenomena in a very holistic way. You are studying all the stakeholders, their views about that particular phenomena, government, the person who has suffered, the family members, the researcher, like all the stakeholders that is related to that particular phenomena, you're trying to understand that. So these are the few characteristics of the qualitative research that helps you into differentiating how it is